Alright, welcome back everybody, welcome back. So this time we tattooing some real dark skin. The camera make it, don't do it no justice, make it really look light skin. But yeah, he was dark. And yeah, I'm going to show you all basically how I decide to make things pop out and use my blacks. Because most of the time I don't use no lines. For those that already watch me, they know I rarely use lines. Sometimes I decide to use it on dark skin like this. Now mind you, this tattoo was mostly just shade, but I took advantage of that mag. In the edge of that mag, that 7 curve mag, that's my go-to needle to kind of create outlines on dark skin, because it does create like bolder lines. It don't just be soft. And the way I make these decisions is depends on how big the tattoo is. So if the tattoo not that big and we can't just use our mag to create those outlines, then yeah, I'll have to kind of settle for a liner, because a liner is a way to get things to stick on dark skin. Creating bold lines with that liner would tend to stick. But if it's not that big of a tattoo, I have to like go for what it is. You gotta go for a smaller needle. And my smaller needle, smaller than that 7 curve mag, is I drop down to my liners. And basically the way I approach it, I use straight black with the mag, kind of mapping it out. And once I map it out with the straight black, I'll come in with the medium tone, because I only use 3 tones when tattooing dark skin tones: the black, the medium, like a half cap of black, and then that 1 drop. Most of the time I'm rarely using the 1 drop. The 1 drop is just for some like extra shadowing, stuff like that, because you use a whole lot of 1 drop on your tattoo, chances when it heal, you're not going to see it, because you need those skin breaks. Whatever you do, you need skin breaks. So how I just added that shadow on the nose, and I kind of kept the skin in between. So basically you're doing small shadowing on dark skin. You're not trying to fill it in. That was my mistake early on. You're trying to do realistic on dark skin. Realistic on dark skin, not saying it's not possible, but you cannot get all those details on dark skin, because you gotta keep it simple. I'm going to tell you all my go-to needles when I'm doing a tattoo like this on dark skin. That 7 curve mag and that 15 curve mag, because most of the time, like I said, I don't use lines, but if I need to, the go-to liner will be the 7 round liner under that 7 curve mag. And whatever you do, I always try to talk to my clients into getting a bigger tattoo, especially on dark skin. Like I said, if they dark and you're doing a medium tattoo and you're trying to fit like 5-6 other elements in there, there's too much going on versus me taking his arm up with 2 of these faces to fill the area. And for those that don't watch me, my normal voltage is about 7 volts, but when shading something like this with this Ambition machine, I always started off at like 6 volts and I'll build up to 6.5. But if the skin is tough, yes, I could push to 7, but 7 is normally my lining voltage. 6 to 6.5 is normally my shading voltage. Now mind you, if somebody got sensitive skin, they're bleeding a lot, chances you need to drop down. That's why I always recommend starting slow. I'll start at the 6 and build up to 6.5. But if they still bleeding, sometimes I have to drop all the way down to 5 volts. And some people just is a bleeder. It's not your fault, anything like that. You could tap the skin. Some people just naturally bleed, and sometimes they don't tell you if they're on blood thinners or anything like that. So if they're bleeding, just know, slowly drop it down, and they're still gonna bleed, but it will help versus poking more holes by moving faster. Now, something that you all may not know is like when people bleeding a whole lot, the ink tend to mix with the blood, and when that happens, your black is no longer black. It starts to like dilute it down, like as if it's a gray wash. So when that's happening, continue to shade. You can shade, but also for some of those real dark areas, make sure you take out a second black, because that first black most likely then diluted if you went into the blood and then come back in a cap. Most likely then diluted. So y'all keep that in mind. That's a good tip to know, because when you see them bleeding, just try not to continue tattooing. Pat that blood away first, then keep tattooing, pat the blood, keep tattooing. Another thing is like what I'm doing now with that smoke and stuff, that's how I create the high contrast on dark skin. Most of those shades probably start out with the black around it, and then you get soft as I come in the inside of them. And it's real big, as you notice, because they're dark skin, like I said, and once they heal up, I want you to be able to see the tattoo. If you can't see it from like at least a good 20 feet, I'll say, then you obviously did something wrong. So keep it simple. show your skin breaks, make sure it stand out. Because if you don't, you pretty much failed the tattoo. You didn't do it no justice if it don't stand out once it's healed and they're walking on the streets. And I'm telling y'all this right now because this is something I think I definitely had to learn, like the harder route, because learning on my own, not having nobody to show me hands-on what to look for, things to do. Yeah, I had to notice that when tattoos heal up, I'm like, wait, why I can't see it? And then I'm like, okay, skin breaks. That's something that's definitely is needed. Before, when I first started, yeah, I didn't really know about the skin breaks. It took for me to see some healed tattoos and be like, yeah, I can't really see it. You can see it by getting close up, but from a little distance, it's tough to see it. So one of the most important things on dark skin, make sure you push your blacks. Don't be scared of your blacks, because I done talked to some people and for some reason they're scared to push blacks. And I know since the beginning of time, for some reason I just wasn't scared to push those blacks. I ain't know too much about the skin breaks, but I still wasn't scared to push those blacks, especially in those shadows, those dark areas. But just know on dark skin, keeping it simple is the best thing you could do. Less tones, don't try to use 5, 7 tones. No, that's for a real light skin tone. That's not even a medium skin tone. A light skin tone, pale. But that's one of the things I definitely recommend you learn early. And also, like when it's coming to keeping it simple, not just keeping it simple with tones, keep it simple with the elements. Because if I've got a mask, I got beads, I got food, I got all New Orleans stuff on the arm, it's just too much. I prefer you get a full sleeve than to just try to fill all those spots, or just the top area of your arm with all those elements. Because like I said, the smaller it is on the dark skin, the less you're gonna see it. And it's not just on dark skin. So the same can apply to a medium tone skin or even a white skin tone. It's like too much could get overwhelming and you can't see it. So on a white skin tone, for example, it's like you could do the details, but you still have to do it in a way to where you can see it on the arm 20 feet back. Because if you do all the details, you can see it close up, but it ain't worth nothing if I really can't see it when somebody's walking on the street. That's how it should be seen. Alright, y'all, so I got a little quick rant to go on. Like, whoever said the price is locked in? A lot of people starting off tattooing, and I'm noticing the prices they're charging because they don't know probably what price to charge, but they go off the basics and they figure $100 an hour is fair enough. Like, think about it. Some people not making $100 an hour at a job. So why do we feel it's normal to just charge $100 an hour? I understand a lot of people charge it, but guess what? If at the end of the day you slow, you're not making no money, do you still remain at that $100 an hour and you just tattoo when you can? Or do you want to pay bills or make a lifestyle and profit with what you're doing? You know what I'm saying? Because there's no reason to be in the tattoo shop and you're slow. People want the tattoos, but some people just don't have the money, unless you got the big clientele that have the money. But if you ain't that person, don't try to be like another person and figure that, oh, this is the price I'm supposed to be charging. At the end of the day, the price you're supposed to be charging is the price that's going to get you some money, that's going to help you run your business. It's not all about the money, but I'm just saying this is a business decision you got to make. If you're in business and you want to keep them doors open, you got to make some money to keep them doors open. But it's the mentality that some people have. That means they will not drop their price. They will not do any of this. They'd rather close their doors before dropping the price. And now mind you, we are talking about a single tattoo artist. We done talking about like 100 team of tattoo artists. But this single tattoo artist, you feel you bigger than like retail chains, Walmart, Target, different things like that. Like, they throw deals to get people in. They've been doing this since the beginning of time. You throw deals to make money. People ain't spending, the economy tight, guess what? Let's put out some rollbacks. We need to get people in to buy these things, you know? That's basically why the government do it. They put out the money to stimulate the economy so you can spend a little money. But when they do that, that's not the people just making money either. That's the government putting out more money like they did for the pandemic, so people can spend money and get the economy back running. So y'all keep that in mind. $100 an hour is not the thing. If somebody want to do $10 tattoos, as long as it costs me $5, for example, or $7, it could cost me $9, and I'm profiting $1. It's still a profit. But of course, the tattoo setup depends on who you are. Your setup could cost $9. But as long as you're making more than your bottom line, if it costs you $5 or $2 just for the setup, you're making an $8 profit. And if you make that $8 profit off 10 people, you already got $80. You know what I'm saying? 160 if you do 20 people. So it all depends. It's all about your own financial ability and what your bills looking like at home at the end of the day. Because if you're only paying $2,000 a month for bills, yeah, you good to charge a cheaper price and make your $6,000. Guess what? If you're paying $8,000, you had to really push it, charge your high prices, but you gotta have the clients, and you gotta crank out to that $10,000 or that $15,000. So y'all keep that in mind. There's no certain price you need to be charging. You got a range that you could charge, but don't mean you have to stay there. Because at the end of the day, that range ain't gonna do you no justice if you're not living well and able to pay your bills. Something gotta shake, or somebody gonna be homeless, right? Alright, y'all, but enough of that. I ain't gonna keep on going with that. That's another time. But yeah, for all that shading, just know I use my 15 curve mag when I'm doing all that big shading in the back. Majority of the tattoo is done with the 15 curve mag, but the small tight blacks on the eye, the points for the clown face, yeah, that's like packed in with a 7 curve mag. Alright, y'all, and once I feel I'm really got everything where I need it to be, I got my skin breaks and it's mostly standing out, then I'll, it's time for to pack our white. And the white mostly go in where our skin breaks are, but just know we putting it only in the spots that we want to stand out. We're not trying to put white throughout the whole mask. I'll put it like the nose, the eyes, you see some parts of the lips that will help it stand out, but the whole thing is just kind of ridiculous. Don't overdo it. We use white to accent the tattoo, not to make our tattoo. No, so that's just an accent, the cherry on top. Don't overdo it. You don't need it really. It could just be black and white. If you need the white to make your tattoo, you're obviously not doing something right. So don't do that. And I hope y'all learned something and y'all keep pushing out here. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. Be safe, love the support, appreciate it.